Check, check. Test, 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 check, check.
So Domestic Automation just launched their brand new piano board that includes a built-in mic, plus it ships with WLED Sound React pre-installed, and in this video, I'll show you how easy it is to get up and running in less than 60 seconds. To begin, I'll be using this 5-volt 15-amp power supply that you can plug right into the barrel connector on the module. Next, I'll be using some WS2812B lights and plugging them right into the connector like I'm doing now. And in case you're wondering, this new board also works with the SK6812 or the WS2811 Pixel, so definitely keep that in mind. Once everything's plugged in, on your phone, open up your Wi-Fi connection and look for the WLED-AP network. If it asks for a password, put in all lowercase WLED1234. Now at this screen, go ahead and hit to the controls, and just like that, you're ready to go. Right here I'll change the lights to a few different colors, but it's important to know that even though this is the Sound React version of WLED, you still have access to all the normal non-sound reactive animations and settings of the regular WLED program. So let's now go into Effects, and at the bottom you can check any of the boxes next to the music icons to only be shown the reactive animations. I'll click on Pixel Wave so you can see just how responsive this setup is. Now WLED always has the default number of lights set to 30 upon initial setup. To change that, let's go into Configure, then LED Preferences, and next to Length, change it to 300, which is the total number of lights on the strip we have. I'm also going to change the brightness limiter to 7000 milliamps to provide a little bit more power. This board does come equipped with a 10 amp fuse for safety, so I would keep the limiter turned on and set to something 9000 milliamps or below. I'll go back into Effects and do a few more quick examples before moving on. So another nice thing about WLED is that you don't need to be in range of a Wi-Fi access point. I'm currently connected directly to the board, and as long as I have power, I could be in the middle of nowhere doing this, or in a car, a bike, motorcycle, or maybe at a remote festival. But if you are at home, I'll now go over how to get things connected to your Wi-Fi. Instead of going to the controls, this time click on Wi-Fi settings. Now you can simply scan for your network, find it, type in your password, and hit save. Next, reconnect back to your home Wi-Fi and then download and install the WLED app. Open it up, click the plus icon near the top right, and then discover lights. It should now find the device that we just added to our network, and you're ready to go. So another awesome feature of WLED is adding Sound React to matrix panels. Let's go ahead and disconnect the strip lights and replace it with a 16x16 matrix that's comprised of 256 WS2812B pixels. Now before moving on, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura. So this is me signing up for their free 14-day trial, and during this setup process, one of the many things they do is scan the internet for data brokers that have your personal information. These data brokers then make a fortune selling your information to spammers, scammers, and other entities that want to know more about you. Now, Aura was able to find 30 such instances of my personal information being in the hands of these companies. Then, with one click, Aura sends out a notice to have my information removed from their systems, which they are legally required to do when asked. Their all-in-one platform offers antivirus protection, credit monitoring, credit lock, financial transaction alerts, secure VPN, identity protection, parental controls, 24/7 US-based customer service, and much, much more. I'll leave a link in the description for you to start your own free 14-day trial, so please make sure to check them out. Thank you all so much, and now back to the video. I'll plug things in, and since it is kind of hard to see with the glare, I'll turn off the lights. Now to get things set up, go into Preferences, and we first need to put the total number of LEDs in the length field, which is 256. Then we need to go into 2D configuration and change it from 1D strip to 2D matrix. Under panel, the first LED for mine is going to be top right. Make sure the serpentine box is checked, and finally put the dimensions as 16x16. Once we're back at the main screen, go into segments and make sure your X and Y axis is set to start at 0 and stop at 16 like it's showing here. Now we can go into our effects and play around with the sound and non-sound React matrix animations.
Check, check. Test, 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 check, check.
They also have a scrolling text animation where you have to go into the segments and give it a name, hit save, and then it'll update. Next, I'll walk you through how you can use the other data output on this board to connect it to lights in a different way. So it's not always going to make sense to have the beginning of your strip close to the module like in our previous examples, but since this does have a data booster built in, we have lots of different options for custom installs. I'm going to start by stripping back the ends of 3 18-gauge silicone wires. I'll then take my red wire and insert it into the plus slot on the block by pushing back the lever like I'm doing here. The middle I'll be using my white wire, which is going to be my negative, and the last one is where my green wire will go for my data. So a couple months ago I did a video on how to run wires on or in your walls. For that project I set up 3 different 2-meter long strips into some spotless diffuser channels like you're seeing here, and to test them out I plugged everything into Domestic Automation's 1st gen board that doesn't have Sound React. But the connection process would be the same on this new product, so let's quickly watch that part of my previous video to get up to speed. The first thing you could do is take a connector piece that you either cut off the beginning of your lights or buy them separately and strip back the wires. I'll then take 3 Wago clips and connect them to the wires that we just cut back. Then I'll strip the 3 wires that go to our LED strip on top and then insert them into the corresponding Wago connectors, making sure the voltage goes to the red wire, ground goes to the white, and data to green. And in case you're wondering how I know which of my 3 white wires is which, I already marked my voltage with some blue tape, my ground with black tape, and the one with nothing is my data. Once this is done, I can simply insert the 2 pieces together, plug in my power, and then I'll be ready to go. So that's one way you could get things hooked up, but I did want to go over another option. I'll go ahead and remove the Wago clips, and since this board also has a spring-loaded block system, I can insert the wires directly into this and bypass the connector pieces altogether. My voltage would go on the left, ground in the middle, and data on the right. Now what's great about this is I can also use these terminals to split everything, including the data, in case I wanted to connect all 3 strips in what's called parallel, meaning that all 3 of my separate segments that I now have on the wall can be connected to this one controller. For this, I'll first attach 3 short 18-gauge silicone wires to the block. I'll then use separate 5-slot Wago connectors and put one on each of these short runs. Then from here, it's simply a matter of finding all 3 voltage wires connected to the LED strips and inserting them into the Wago going to the plus terminal on the block, then doing the same for the ground, and finally the data. So as I'm getting things all connected, you may be wondering what I do to hide the wires here at the bottom, plus the controller, as well as the power supply. And for the most part, there's usually something I can simply hide everything behind so it's out of sight. It might be a chair, a media console, portable fireplace, a plant, or a number of other things. But if you don't have this option, I did make a video on one way you could go about to conceal things in plain sight that will look 100 times better than just having a mess on the floor. I'll leave a link to that video in the description that you can check out if interested. Now once you have everything set up, you can plug in the power and everything should be good to go. Now that we went over the connection process, it's as simple as swapping out the old board with this new Sound React model, and this is where you can see the beauty of the Wago clips in action. Lift up the levers, remove the voltage, ground, and data wires coming from the purple board, and replace them with the ones we put on our piano model. Plug it in, and you're ready to go. So let's fire up WLED and go into your LED preferences, and since we no longer have any lights plugged into the pigtail connector like we used in our first couple examples, I'm going to change this to 1. Instead, we're using the lever block on the board, which is connected to data output 4, which is below. This is where you can input the number of lights we have on the strip. I'll first put 60 in the length field. And right above is where you can input the type of lights you're using, and for these strips, they're all SK6812. Hit save, and you can see that half the lights are now on. And if you don't know the exact number, you can keep playing around with this until everything's on. I, however, know that there are 120 total LEDs on each section, so I'll input that, hit save, and we're all set. So I hope I did a good job in highlighting just how simple it is to get up and running with WLED Sound React using Domestic Automation's new piano board. And even though I didn't even scratch the surface of all the effects and animations, I hope this gives you a little glimpse of what you can do. I'll leave links in the description for everything I used in the video, so make sure to check them out if interested. From here on out, I'll play some final footage of the setup in action using more of the Sound React options. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.